Hi folks, welcome back. We're going to have a look at Catullus poem 70 today, continuing with the EDUQAS Love and Marriage set text. Today's poem's quite a short one, but it still fits into that overall kind of context of Catullus's love poetry. So Catullus's love poems are short, they're ordered in a collection, they each have a slightly different meter, but quite often he name checks himself in poem 8. He talks to himself as Catullus. He name checks his lover, Lesbia, in poem 5, which we think is a pseudonym for a married girlfriend. And the picture that I keep choosing for the Catullus videos really kind of shows the way that he's imagined, based on his poetry, to be pursuing this kind of wealthy girlfriend who could kind of take him or leave him, to be honest, is the impression we get from the picture. You can even see in the picture, actually, that he's holding his little book of poems for her. So let's have a look at the Latin and the English for poem 70 and some of the effects you could pick out in the literature exam. Nulli se dicit mulier mea nubere male, quam mihi, non si se Jupiter ipse petat. Dicit, sed mulier cupido quod dicit amanti. Invento e rapida scribere abortet aqua. So, my woman, all right, mulier mea, so we've got that possessive. Mulier is woman. You're perhaps more used to femina. Mulier mea creates this kind of alliteration, which is very soft. Mulier mea nubere male, so it's all like really soft and like flowing. My woman says that she prefers. Male is to prefer. It's the infinitive, even though it doesn't have re. Malo is I prefer. It's one of the trigger verbs that introduces infinitives like nubere. So you can see the re, that is to marry. Qua mihi, so she prefers no one but me. Non si Jupiter ipse, not even if Jupiter himself, petat, were to ask her. Dicit, so she says. Sed mulier, cupido quod dicit, but what a woman says, so mulier again, dicit, she says, Cupido amante, to her passionate lover. So the word order is a bit nasty. Cupido and amante, they're both dative, they go together, but they're spread out in the verse, and we'll look at that in a minute. Invento e rapida scribere a porta acqua. Ought to be written in the wind, invento, as in ventilation, and the fast flowing, rapida, like very quick. Scribere, to write, and aqua is water. So lots of vocabulary, actually, that you know from the language paper. And it's a very kind of short poem, very ephemeral one. But it reflects the message of this kind of throwaway comment that the woman seems to be making. And it seems to be a poem that's more universally applicable because nobody's named in it. So this is a poem that could actually be really relatable to readers. So the meter of this is elegiac couplets. Each couplet's made up of dactylic hexameter. Now, dactylic is called dactylic because a dactyl is a finger. So if you look at your finger now, you have one long knuckle and two short knuckles. That is a dactyl. Long, short, short. So that is why dactyls are called dactyl. Hexameter just means there's 6 of them. And then it's followed by a line of dactylic pentameter. So it's long and short, it alternates. You don't necessarily have to look at the meter in lots of detail. Frontline and endline emphasis still apply. But one thing that we can say is that by writing in elegy, Catullus is linking this poem to a tradition of really sad love poetry. Elegy is a tradition of sad love poems. If you can hear snoring in the background, guys, I'm really sorry, it's my dog. But I'm keen to get these out to you before mocks, and I'm not going to wake him up. So let's have a look at some of the literary effects that you could use in the literature exam. So word choice. So in other poems, he describes his lover as puella, as a girl, and here he's gone with mulier, which is woman. Interestingly, he's not picked femina, and that's because we have this lovely bilabial alliteration. Bilabial means you use both lips to say it, so m and n, maybe like when you're making a humming noise. Mulier mea nubere male. So it's quite a soft, warm sound. It sounds quite affectionate. Quan mihi, than me. So we've got frontline emphasis. So he's really kind of making a big deal of the fact that he's the only person that she would marry. Notably, they're not married and he's not asked her. So she's just kind of dropping that in. Frontline emphasis on dikit, so she says. So the idea that she might have other lovers is perhaps kind of in the background there. We've got the juxtaposition of mulier and Cupido, the woman and the lover, and then Amanti is pushed to the end. Cupido and Amanti actually go together. We start to get, in the next line, some S's and some P's, so like a suspicious alliterative sound. So we see it actually earlier. Si se Jupiter ipse petat, dicit. So this sound is alliteration, but it has a different effect. So whereas the bilabial alliteration is quite warm and endearing, the S and P alliteration, rapida scribere portat, it's more like suspicious, bit of a hissing sound. Okay, and it says that in the EDUQAS guidelines as well. I promise I'm not just making stuff up. We've got a kind of enclosing order here as well of the wind and the water. So two very kind of transient, ephemeral things. What she's saying is insubstantial. It's wind and air and it's meaningless. And it kind of makes the point that things that lovers whisper to each other, pillow talk, is insubstantial. It's not the same as marriage, and you could, in a 15 marker, make that contrast that in Catullus's poetry, relationships are quite like, there's quite a lot of ups and downs. We have this written in elegiac meter because elegies about sad love poems. Relationships are really at the whim of the people who are in them and how they feel. And marriage is not like that. Marriage is a really formal contract and it is a partnership and it is overseen by the community. So they behave in totally different ways. So I hope that was helpful. I'll finish off the Catullus playlist by looking at Catullus 85 with you on a separate video. I've linked any helpful resources in the description below, and good luck with your revision.